regarding oxygen and how it works, innovations, and etc. that will be further discussed in the video. But first, let's talk about oxygen. Oxygen is a colorless, odorless, reactive gas that can be found in the periodic table with a atomic number of 8 and the life supporting of the air. Oxygen plays a critical role in respiration and the energy producing chemistry that drives the metabolism of most living things. We humans, along with many other creatures, need oxygen in the air. We need to breathe to stay alive. Oxygen is generated during photosynthesis by plants and many types of microtubes. Plants both use oxygen during respiration and produce it, and without oxygen, most of the living things in this planet will be probably dead. In order to fully understand it, we will show a video regarding how oxygen circulates around this planet. Thank you.
Throughout Earth's history, carbon has cycled naturally between the ocean, the biosphere, and the atmosphere. This continual cycle regulates the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. CO2 and other greenhouse gases mix easily into the global atmosphere and act as a kind of blanket to trap some of the radiation reflected from the Earth's surface. This greenhouse effect keeps the planet much warmer than it would otherwise be, allowing for life on Earth to flourish. For the past few 100,000 years, the natural carbon cycle has been in balance, keeping the concentration of atmospheric CO2 more or less constant. But with the Industrial Revolution, humans began to dig up and burn huge amounts of fossil fuels. This long-buried carbon that would have taken millions of years to enter the atmosphere is now being suddenly released in a geological instant. Together with deforestation, this has upset the natural balance of the carbon cycle. Over the past 150 years, the concentration of atmospheric CO2 has risen from 270 to 400 parts per million. The higher this concentration gets, the greater the greenhouse effect becomes. As a result, the planet is warming, and the Earth's surface and the ocean are heating up. This is already causing our climate to change. Unless we rapidly reduce our carbon emissions, we risk seeing more extreme weather events and other dangerous impacts in the years to come.
I'm going to talk about oxygen cycle. The atmospheric oxygen undergoes a process called respiration, which is usually done through plants, animals, and humans. There will be two outputs from this process, and those are carbon dioxide and water. Both carbon dioxide and water then goes through photosynthesis wherein the carbon dioxide transforms into organic molecules such as glucose and oxygen, while water transforms back into atmospheric oxygen. What is oxygen cycle and its importance? According to Universe Today, the oxygen cycle is the cycle that helps move oxygen through the three main regions of the Earth: the atmosphere, the biosphere, and the lithosphere. The atmosphere is, of course, the region of gases that lies above the Earth's surface, and it is one of the largest reservoirs of free oxygen on Earth. The biosphere in the sum of all the Earth's ecosystems. This also has some free oxygen produced from photosynthesis and other life processes. The largest reservoir of oxygen is the lithosphere. Most of this oxygen is not on its own or free moving but part of chemical compounds such as silicates and oxides.
Good day. So in this part of our video, we will discuss the topic on air pollution. So according to the World Health Organization, air pollution is contamination of both the indoor and outdoor environment by any chemical, physical, or biological agent that modifies the characteristics of the atmosphere. So NRDC.org further expands this definition by stating that the air pollutants are detrimental to human health and the planet as a whole. So for its causes, its definition states that air pollution is caused by solid and liquid particles and certain gases that are suspended in the air. So these particles and gases can come from car and truck exhausts, factories, dust, pollen, mold spores, volcanoes, and wildfires. So the solid and liquid particles suspended in the air are what we call aerosols. Furthermore, the other causes of air pollution are the burning of fossil fuels, agricultural activities, waste in landfills, exhaust from factories and industries, mining operations, indoor air pollution, and natural events.
Effects of air pollution. Air pollution is one of the biggest problems of the whole world. Air pollution can take effects not only to us humans but to the entire environment. Air pollution can give people a short or a long-term health effects from being exposed. Health effects for the short term are the following: pneumonia, irritation to the nose, throat, eyes, or even skin. It may also cause us headaches, dizziness, and nausea. On the other hand, long-term health effects are the heart disease, lung cancer, respiratory disease such as emphysema, damage to the people's nerves, brain, kidneys, livers, and other specific organs. Every year, almost 2.5 million die as a result of impacts of outdoor or indoor air pollution. Air pollution may harm entire ecosystem just as it can harm humans, animals, and plants. Like smog, haze is a visible kind of air pollution that obscures patterns and colors. Noises can be muffled by hazy air pollution. Real-life example of air pollution. Air pollution are mainly caused by human-made activities. These are just a few examples of how air pollution is happening.
Pollution prevention is any activity that minimizes, removes, or avoids pollution at its source. There is less trash to regulate, treat, or dispose of if pollution is reduced. There are less risks to human health and the environment if there is less pollution. Pollution prevention in the energy industry can help to limit the negative effects of fuel extraction, processing, transportation, and burning on the environment. Methods for preventing pollution includes increasing efficiency in energy use and use of environmentally benign fuel sources. In the agricultural sector, pollution prevention approaches includes reducing the use of water and chemical inputs, adoption of less environmentally harmful pesticides, and cultivation of crop strains with natural resistance to pests, and protection of sensitive areas. In the industrial sector, examples of reducing pollution practices includes modifying a production process to produce less waste, using cleaners, degreasers, and other maintenance chemicals that are non-toxic or less hazardous, implementing water and energy conservation practices, and reusing materials such as drums and pallets rather than disposing them as waste. In homes and schools, examples of reducing pollution practices includes using reusable water bottles instead of throwing away, automatically turning off lights when not in use, repairing leaky faucets and hoses. Last is switching to green cleaners. These are some possible solutions to prevent air pollution.
While air pollution is a serious problem, it is a problem that we can solve. To improve air quality and slow climate warming, change needs to happen on a national and global scale, but actions at the individual and community level are also important. First, renewable fuel and clean energy production. The most basic solution for air pollution is to move away from fossil fuels, replacing them with alternative energies like solar, wind, and geothermal. Switching to the most efficient alternative like usage of solar panels could be the best possible solution to reduce air pollution. Second, eco-friendly transportation. Cars and vehicles create exhaust full of carbon dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, and other pollutants. Driving less in favor of public transportation, biking, or walking helps decrease air pollution. Also, using cars with increased fuel efficiency or electric cars that do not rely on fossil fuels can decrease the amount of pollution we are contributing to the atmosphere. Many cities are helping by investing in a better, affordable public transportation and developing city plans that includes infrastructure for walking, biking, and public transit. And lastly, take action within your community to find solution to air pollution. Around the world, many of the current solutions are the result of communities coming together to demand change. Citizens in Shenzhen, China, inspired a switch to electric buses in their city. In Brussels, Belgium, a movement started by parents concerned about the poor air quality in schools led to a plan to invest in public transportation and cycling, along with a ban on fueled cars by 2030. And in many countries, governments are closing coal plants and exploring new sources of energy because of citizens who are concerned about climate warming.
The oxygen cycle aids oxygen transport across the Earth's atmosphere, biosphere, and lithosphere. The atmosphere is the world's largest oxygen reserve. Aside from the oxygen cycle, the ecosystem balance is maintained through a number of atmospheric cycles. These cycles are necessary for the organism to survive. Other cycles include the nitrogen cycle, carbon cycle, and so on. There are so many uses for oxygen that they can all be listed here. On a more basic level, though, all species require it some way, such as us, human, plants, and animals. It is incredible that everything that exists in nature has some sort of system mechanics that rely on oxygen to keep them alive. These elements' manufacturing cycles has continued unabatable for millennia. Nothing can put a halt to it. It is passed down via every man's generation. Every 100 years, the plate is wiped clean, and the circle of life continues. Man is set on a new canvas to play out the next generation of man's life, while all things in nature die. And one of the numerous ingredients that make up the canvas on which all of the stories are told is oxygen. So oxygen is the main source of our stories. Oxygen is the main source of our living. Oxygen is the main cause of how we are living right now.
With the information provided, we now know that the contamination of the atmosphere and its effects indoors and outdoors define air pollution, one of the biggest problems the world faces. Air pollution is commonly caused and increased by the abusive production of aerosol, which are solid and liquid particles that are suspended in the air. Produced from combustion from household appliances, exhaust from motorized vehicles and industrial facilities. In addition to those, volcanic eruption and smog from forest fires also contribute towards the aerosol suspended within the air. Reason being, air pollution is deemed as one of the most biggest problems we currently face as it modifies the natural characteristics of the atmosphere. It causes complications detrimental to the health of the planet and living species within it. In relation to this, not only can air pollution produce long-term health effects from air pollution include heart disease, lung cancer, and respiratory diseases such as emphysema, but also cause long-term damages to people's nerves, brain, kidneys, liver, and organs. To summarize, air pollution is caused by aerosol, which is unresponsibly produced by human actions, which then leads to affect the natural characteristics of our atmosphere, and eventually affect the health of humans, while also involuntarily including other organisms.